At some point of time, Mini used to mean mini. Mini meant small, compact, tiny. Nowadays, the only thing mini about new Mini Coopers are the badges. Nothing else is mini. The cars have grown so much in size. The car is longer, wider, taller than a Nissan Qashqai. This wheelbase is the same size wheelbase as a Lexus IS. The car actually shares its platform and its underpinnings with its sister brand BMW. Actually, BMW owns Mini Cooper, so that's why they have ended up using the same platform as the X1 and the X2 on this Countryman S. You will see some obvious BMW bits like the antennas, like the integrated door handles, and even the hood lines on the Mini remind you of BMW. You will notice it is very similar to what you see on the BMW 240i. It's very muscular, very strong and sharp lines and edges. And that has been the design language on this new Mini Cooper. On this third generation of the Mini Countryman, what they've done mostly, aside from jacking it up and increasing its size, is giving it very sharp, pronounced lines and edges. The headlights, for starters, are no longer circular. They're more defined, they're more rectangular. If you see the body lines, we have more sharp edges. And overall, the round wheel openings are supplemented with, again, straight rectangular lines, just to make it a bit more modern, a bit more muscular, let's say. The rims on this car have also grown in size. However, due to the size of this vehicle, you can no longer tell that these are 20-inch rims. They look small compared to how massive this body is. And they have like a bronze golden effect, which is a theme carried over in so many bits and pieces in the vehicle. This is actually like a matte finish. Now everything has grown in size. I feel even the key has grown in size. And not only is the key massive, even the branding on the key is like a full-size Mini logo. It really makes me feel like the graphic designers, the branding guys, all the design departments that worked on this Mini Cooper went mad. This is a car that if you check from every corner, if you check every piece, every little detail, you would appreciate the design that has gone behind it. Mini Cooper have really gone above and beyond. This is better designed, in my opinion, than many modern day BMWs. For starters, graphic designers and branding guys have worked on the lettering and the script used for the Mini Countryman. And I love how the letter S stands out. Some graphic design work done over here. This is also inspired by the British flag. We'll come back to it later. And again, some nice branding work with the letter S on the front grille. And those round edged lines are also repeated in places like the plastics on the wheel arches and even on the dashboard, the plasticky bits. Take a look, for example, at the door handles. Notice the colors, similar to what you see on the mirrors and the roof of the car. And again, those golden bits are repeated in the steering wheel, and even the stitching is in the same finish. And in terms of interior space, they really worked hard on making this feel like you're sitting at home. It's so homey, the fabrics and the materials used. They remind you of your sofa in your living room. Even look how there's like a gradient. It starts out as a color and then it transitions into another color. And that's why the rear doors are also a different color than the front doors. Again, this upholstery and fabrics and even those threads and textile material is repeated in this nice looking storage area. Even the wireless charger, they have made sure that this outer trim is in the same fabric materials. And again, I love how they made this dip so you can easily bring your phone out. And you'll notice these diagonals that we've seen outside repeated on most of the plastics inside. Again, you'll see some branding work in the storage area. You'll see some branding work in the seats. Again, interior design work, some threads. All the designers working together cohesively. This amount of fabric actually works well with all the humidity and the sweat you get in Abu Dhabi. Let's switch on the car. External temperature is 43 degrees at 7:30 p.m. So imagine how the day was like. Now, before I carry on praising the designers and admiring the design, Let me give you a few of the negatives I found in the interior, and then we can carry on with the positives. First of all, the door handles. It's quite hard to open the door with your left hand. It feels unnatural. You are forced to use your right hand, and then the left hand controls the position of the door. Maybe this is a safer technique. The steering wheel, you'll notice right away that this steering rim is borrowed from BMW. These parts over here are actually massive. I have big hands and I can't even get a complete hold of the steering wheel. So this is not a mini steering wheel at all. This steering wheel is designed for maybe King Kong's hands. But what's nice about the steering wheel, although it looks like a 3-spoke, it's actually a 2-spoke. We have 2 spokes in the middle, and this is like a fabric trim, like a textile material. Also a very nice design detail in the steering wheel. The armrest, although it moves, there's no storage inside it, it's fixed. And last but not least, the AC controls. Now for me it's not a negative, but some people like to have manual controls. In this Mini, all AC controls are embedded in this central display. And this gets us to the most interesting and exciting design detail in this Mini, which is the central round display. This is developed by BHTC and Samsung for Mini Cooper. This screen is very impressive due to how narrow it is, how thin, how small the bezel is, and on top of that, you don't actually feel any overheating in the screen. Most cars, as soon as the sun hits the screen, it overheats. This is cooled in a nice way. I think there are some coolers or AC vents aimed at the screen. We even have this projector unit behind the screen, which projects this design similar to what we've seen on the front grille. And notice how it disappears as soon as my hand covers the projection area. Now this design actually changes with the drive modes. And once we go into this timeless classic display, you'll notice how we'll get like these stripes similar to what you see in like AMG branding and logos. Drive modes in the Mini Cooper are no longer called drive modes. They are experiences. Imagine yourself going to a theme park. You want to experience different rides. This is what the car gives you. Once you switch, let's say you want to go to a green driving mode, even you have a go-kart mode for the sports mode. And it plays some sound effects from Mario Kart or something really funny in the car, and everything turns red. The theme changes. The central screen becomes a gauge display. You see nothing but performance-related gauges. Again, this is somewhere else where graphic designers, branding team have worked really well with engineers to achieve this seamless, harmonious effect. Although you don't really have driver gauges, it's only the central screen that displays everything. This heads-up display actually serves the purpose of driver gauges. This is what it actually looks like from my perspective, from my point of view. It's inside the car, it's not projected ahead or outside of the car. Even the heads-up display gives you different effects once you toggle between the drive modes. The size of this display is 9-inch, so almost the size of a basketball. And it's not a glossy finish screen, it's like a matte finish. So you don't have the issue of leaving fingerprints. It's very dry. And if you go, let's say, into the AC controls, again, this is another area where you see the British flag. Now this starts to link with the other diagonals we've seen outside and in so many other places. They have embedded the British origins of Mini Cooper in so many areas of the car. You can even change the taillight design to achieve the British flag. If you go into settings, driving light mode, this is the current display we have, the more sporty John Cooper Works headlights and taillights. However, if you want to get the British flag, you go into classic, you can change the design. This is part of the British flag continued on the other end of the tail light. It also updates the front light into the classic Mini Cooper halos, and you can even go into favored, which is like eyelashes and a simplified design in the rear. To switch on the car again, you'll see this button where there's like a heartbeat. It's glowing. However, the way it starts is very unconventional. You still switch it on in a classic key style. Other nice tricks this display does is if you go into vehicle status, I like how it's lifted on a jack and it gives you the status of the vehicle. Now you have a nice size navigation, full screen size, crisp display, very responsive. And you even have like an overhead camera. You can take selfies in the car. Now at night, it turns on night mode, so you look like a ghost sitting in the vehicle. And it even has something called smile to take a photo. So if you're sitting in your Mini Cooper and for some reason you end up smiling, it will capture your moments. In terms of knee room, there's plenty of room. This seat is actually moved backwards for comfort access. It should be a bit further forward. And this seat in the back even moves forward and backwards to get the ideal seating position. You can even move your backrest to get the angle you like. So a lot of adjustability. You can even fold them 40, 20, 40. Now there's a central armrest with some fabric inserts. I wish this fabric insert was actually the handle to pull the armrest. However, there's this little piece that pulls the armrest out. Again, you'll notice the back of the seat, you have this insert with these diagonals that are repeated in so many areas in the car. The only downside I found in the rear space are the AC vents. Although you have AC controls, the only control you have is to open and close. You have no control to guide the air, change the direction. You have nothing to do whatsoever except from this scroll in the middle. Something else you need to notice or pay attention to is the seat belt. There is no seat belt around you for the middle seat. The way you get it is up from the ceiling. You need some proper mobility to reach. I can't even reach, I have to push my hand. And then you can get the seat belt strapped in place. We do actually get a spare wheel in our region. I think the US or Europe doesn't get a full spare. We have a full spare wheel. And another design detail that I'd like you to see is that rear storage shelf. Again, with the same patterns and designs as the diagonals we've seen elsewhere. In terms of comfort and luxury, one thing I forgot to mention is that the driver's seat has massage. You'll find a massage setting with I think 2 modes, relaxation and activation, which is really handy for the driver if he takes long journeys. I like how the wheels are spinning when the vehicle is moving. The lights are also active. If you activate your turn signal, it shows on the screen. Like I said, this shares the platform with BMW. This car is not as light as Minis used to be. This weighs around 1,600 kilograms, even more than that. It's not bad when you look at how heavy some BMW cars have gotten these days. This is still considered lightweight for its size. This also have the BMW 2-liter engine and a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. Now I must say something that I'm disappointed about is that you have no controls, you have no say over the gears in the car. You are forced to be in the gear that the vehicle wants you to be in. You have no pedals, you have no Tiptronic gear lever. The only way you can control the gear is by going into drive or low range. Low range obviously increases the RPM a bit, but I think I would have loved to see pedals on this Mini, especially considering it's the S trim. Now you can go into go-kart mode if you want to do some dynamic driving. It even cheers for you. It's 4-cylinder 2-liter BMW engine. Has plenty of turbocharged torque. Accelerating from standstill, you notice a bit of delay, a bit of turbo lag, but then you realize this car has plenty of torque. 400 Newton meters of torque to be precise. You feel a lot of the bumps, imperfections. I think it's a combination of having a stiff suspension setup and having those massive 20-inch rims. But this gives you a more dynamic driving feel. Let me show you how fast this car accelerates from 0 to 100. In conclusion, what do I think of this Mini Countryman? I really appreciate the amount of effort and design work designers have put into developing this car. I really wish all brands would put the same amount of effort into developing new vehicles as Mini has done with this. I think this is a nice example of how creative designers can be when they have the freedom for creativity. What do you guys think? Do you like the new design? Do you prefer the older Mini design? Let me know down in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you in future episodes. Cheers.